Welcome to the Foundry by Forge College. If you're joining us right after our C-Level Concepts overview, welcome back. Today, we're transitioning from high-level multi-token architectures and diving straight into the engine room of the Ethereum virtual machine. We're going to explore the precise mechanics of ERC-1155 multi-token contracts. Look, the ERC-1155 standard is an absolute game-changer for Web3. Instead of deploying a new contract for every single token type, you get this powerhouse contract that just handles everything. And in this explainer, we're going to show you exactly how balances are tracked and how batch transfers operate securely under the hood. So, here's our agenda for today. We'll start with the ERC-1155 warehouse, peek inside the balance ledger, map out single and batch moves, test things out with Alice's potions and sword, and finally wrap up with safety checks and hooks. All right, Section 1, the ERC-1155 warehouse. To really understand the complex code logic here, let's start with a highly relatable mental model. Imagine a slightly obsessed, hyper-efficient warehouse manager. Instead of managing a separate building for every single token type, which is, let's be honest, what older standards basically forced you to do, this manager simply keeps a unified inventory card for every customer and every specific SKU bin, all within one single building. In our Web3 world, the customer is the wallet address, and the SKU is the token ID. Some of these bins hold thousands of identical fungible items, while others might just hold a single, unique non-fungible variant. But our warehouse manager, they handle them all with the exact same streamlined system.
Now think about the stark contrast between moving single items versus batch transfers. Sure, a single transfer gets the job done. But if you have a lot of items, making individual trips is painfully slow and costly. A batch transfer, on the other hand, acts like loading up a massive delivery truck. You get this incredible economy of scale, moving several full pallets of different SKUs at the exact same time. And the best part? It saves an absolute fortune on network gas fees.
Moving right along to Section 2, inside the balance ledger.
Let's see how our warehouse translates into the actual technical foundation written in Solidity. This elegant, nested two-level mapping is the core balance equation of ERC-1155. It determines exactly who owns what. It reads mapping of an address to a mapping of a uint 256 to a final uint 256. Honestly, this single line of code is the central nervous system of your entire decentralized application's inventory.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that the outer key is the owner and the inner key is the token ID. This setup grants constant-time access to any asset without requiring separate storage areas. The contract doesn't need to scan through massive arrays to find your items. No way. It just checks this nested ledger and instantly knows your exact balance for any given asset. It's wildly efficient.
Let's jump into Section 3, single and batch moves. Now that we know where the data lives in storage, let's examine the internal assembly line process for actually moving these tokens around. Whether it's moving a single token or looping across arrays for a big batch transfer, every single transaction rigorously follows 4 sequential steps. First, we validate that the sender actually has the tokens and that the receiver is valid. Second, we update those storage balances in the nested mapping we just talked about. Third, we emit a public transfer event. And fourth, we call the receiver callback hook. It is a precise, unbreakable sequence.
And this brilliantly illustrates the rule of atomicity. Basically, either all pallets arrive or none do. If any single check or balance update fails during a batch loop, the entire transaction reverts, and absolutely no balances change. If one pallet on our delivery truck is overweight or missing, the manager refuses the whole load. This all-or-nothing guarantee means your state never ever ends up partially updated or corrupted.
Section 4. Alice's Potions and Sword.
In many of our Forge College courses, we rely on concrete examples to map out state changes. So let's put our assembly line to a field test. Seeing it in action always makes the abstract concepts snap right into focus. Let's say Alice has 20 fungible potions and 1 unique sword, and she wants to send Bob 3 potions and the sword in a single batch transaction. So ID 1001 is our fungible potion, and ID 2001 is our one-of-a-kind non-fungible sword. Bob currently has 0 of both. Alice bundles this whole request up into 2 arrays, an array of IDs and an array of amounts. First things first, the contract verifies the operator permissions and confirms that the length of the IDs array and the amounts array match perfectly, in this case, exactly 2. If they don't match, that's an immediate revert. It's exactly like verifying the packing list matches the physical pallets before the delivery truck is even allowed to leave the loading dock.
Once that checks out, the contract loop processes successfully. The balance is decrement for Alice and increment for Bob. and a single transfer batch event is emitted for the whole load. Notice how incredibly powerful that is? You've got multiple different asset types transferred across multiple iterations. Balance is updated flawlessly and only one single event emitted. That saves you significant gas overhead.
Finally, Section 5, Safety Checks and Hooks. Okay, so we have our updated balances, but our warehouse manager has one last rigorous quality control check before signing off. What happens if Bob is actually a smart contract that literally doesn't know how to handle these tokens? If we simply dump these pallets into a poorly designed contract, the items could be locked away and lost forever. This was actually a notoriously huge problem in the early days of crypto, where users would accidentally send assets to incompatible contracts and just have to watch them disappear into the digital abyss.
The solution here is the receiver hook. It acts like a required confirmation code on a delivery receipt. If the receiving contract doesn't return the exact magic value, the whole delivery rolls back. It's a really elegant safeguard. The sending contract basically says, prove to me you know how to handle ERC-1155 tokens by returning this specific code. If it can't, the transaction is reversed, keeping your assets completely safe.
Remember these edge cases to avoid stressing out our warehouse manager. Mismatched arrays or an invalid zero address, those will reject your transaction immediately. But here's a really fun and surprising fact. Zero amount transfers are actually considered valid. They don't change any balances, so they basically act as a no-op, but they do emit an event. Developers sometimes ingeniously use this for signaling purposes without having to move any real assets. How cool is that?
Well, that wraps up our explainer on ERC-1155 mechanics. Remember, every pallet you load in a batch still triggers a storage write, meaning how you group and design your IDs is absolutely your next big strategic move. So, how will you design your token ID schemas to optimize these batch storage costs? To master token ID design and continue exploring Web3 development, make sure to visit forge.college today. Thanks for tuning into this explainer by Forge College. Keep building, and we'll catch you in the next one.